Hello, Jonas.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Mateo.
Hey, good evening.
We're all assembled. We can get started straight away. Karen is on the line. Hello, Karen.
Hi. Hi.
Yep. Um, I would just open with a remark, an observation that, yeah, given the input from Steve Smolsky, we are to avoid any flat roofs, I think. Primarily, I guess this is something in the back of my mind, I realize is always the case. Flat roofs tend to leak, and that's a given.
Yeah.
Um, but and then he also observed that the cupola actually created a situation where water would then splash onto the main body. The water that would come off the very top roof onto the second roof would splash onto the bottom. So that made me think that that was not an ideal. At least that's what Steve seemed to think, that that was not an ideal either. Um, and so what I just kind of, I mean, concluded. I don't know about you. I'd like to hear what you think. Is that the best option is the simple shingles, and yeah, I mean, now how acceptable this would be is a question that we want to discuss. But I'd like to hear from you. This is my comment.
I'm at
Uh, Karen says she agrees. Okay. Anyway,
Um, I mean, my thinking from a from the perspective of what it is that we are trying to accomplish, which is to preserve and protect this object, I would agree with that. I do wonder though if because that roof configuration never actually existed historically,
that's true.
um, if that raises sort of both ethical, but also in terms of using CPA money, potential legal questions about, um, you know, creating an entirely new design for the top. I I think it's unfortunate that there isn't a way to do the flat roof design affordably, and I mean none of these seem particularly affordable, but um, in a way that doesn't create a risk for the object. Um, I don't know. I understand that point about the water coming off the cupola and hitting the lower roof. I would think then, I would assume, I'm not a, wood scientist, but I would assume that the lower roof would then shed the water to the ground, which is what I would think that its purpose was. And combined with Leslie's finding at the Swift River Historical Society about that scrapbook page, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's a scrapbook, so we don't know the actual date of that photograph. But if the date of the photograph aligns even a little bit with um, the dates that are provided for the photograph of the boy on the same page in the scrapbook, that means that the cupola is actually from the 50s, not the 70s, which is, I don't know. I feel like we're then getting into that territory where the Secretary of the Interior standards say that if an object has been changed and the change has taken on historical significance of its own, then that's permissible to reproduce it, or to not reproduce it, but to preserve it in that changed form. So I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air. I understand what you're saying, Henry, about the desire to ensure that the water is being shed safely. But again, I come back to the fact that that type of roof never or at least in none of the photographs seems to have existed.
Well, that's why I closed my observation by saying, I don't know how acceptable it will be, even how the town will take it. Yeah, I was leaning towards having the cupola. That was before all of this came down. Uh,
I mean, I at this point now, given what we know about the costs associated with it and the risks posed by the flat roof,
mm,
I don't like the idea of black rubber. I don't like the idea of copper, and I don't like the costs associated with those or the risk that it presents. I find myself inclined towards the cupola, which was not my original sort of viewpoint, but I do think that it's important to um, I don't know, to acknowledge the fact that if Smolsky is right about what you're saying, then maybe in 20
well,
years or 30 years, this is going to be an issue again. But
yeah. I mean, it hasn't been particularly so far. I mean, you look at it, the damage to it. I don't know if it was really due to that or not. We don't know, but yeah, I think what he's saying though is that yeah, I guess the water. It's not so much that see if it was just raining onto the roof without the extra cupola, you wouldn't have I guess a certain amount of water accumulating and then draining straight off it, which would create a another layer of water. But yeah, Janice, what do you make of all this?
Um, well, I was just flipping through the pages trying to find one of the ones I think was one of the ones from last time. The proposal for treatment from Christine from April 1st that has, I think, the four options. So it sounds like the first option, A, retaining cupola with shingles, which at that point I think was 7,448.
Correct.
That I guess that comes the closest to retaining the
The
sort of
look.
the look, yes,
Yep.
without having the flat bottom and it's flat top. And it's possible that they added that cupola because they saw there was a problem, with the little flat thing on the top.
Mhm.
So I still I understand that structurally, in terms of water shedding, the pointy top without any flat or cupola might, you know, make sense, but it just feels funny since that's never been
Yep.
one that we've got an example of.
yeah.
So I feel funny going that way. So I guess that I would tend, if I've got this correct, towards that option A from that April 1st, I think it is,
Yep.
thing. Is that what you guys are
Yeah.
figuring at this point too? Option A?
Yes, that's the option with a cupola, a reconstructed cupola. They're going to
Yeah.
reframe it, and yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And I guess what I would want to do is ask for an amendment to the CPC funding or the CPA funding application um, to reflect that change.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there is, so there would be a slight change to the description of the project where the language that I used in the application needs to be modified to include the cupola addition. Otherwise, nothing else really changes. The big change would be to um, the project cost, the amount of CPA funds being requested, and then the matching contribution. The I think we budgeted for a sort of round number matching contribution of $750 for the previous project or for the previous version of this. So if we kept it that percentage, it would be this is the $7,468 project, right?
yes.
So that would be 6,482 from CPA and 986 from the Historical Commission.
What was that again? Can you repeat that? I'm trying to write it down.
Yep. So if we did the cupola,
Yeah.
7,468, we would need to amend the application to the CPC so that
Yep.
the CPA funds would be 6,482,
Okay.
and the matching funds from the Historical Commission would be 986.
Now on that, I know that there were some slightly different numbers. And so I don't know if I'm looking at the most recent one. The one from Williamstown from 4/1/25, option A was 7,448.
Okay.
I'm looking at the one that Henry sent on May 5th.
I guess I didn't see that one. That's I was thinking. Oh no, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think that changed much over time now.
May 5th. Yeah, the option A, that's 7,468.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 7,468. Yeah, I'm trying to get.
That's what it says in the
Yep.
May 5th. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, let me just give me a second here. Yeah, let me just summarize for Karen here,
Yep.
because I don't know if you got all that. So Karen, I started out pointing to the comments given by a wood scientist about different options. And what we're trying to do tonight is come up with something that we will uh, present to uh, the Community Preservation Committee, because we're going to change. What we presented originally was a flat roof, correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
we presented a flat, the option of a flat roof, and in Williamstown, they came back with a cost that was way too high. Uh, and it's also problematic as a flat roof that, it's historically relevant, but it has its issues in terms of, in terms of water, keeping the water off. So what we're discussing at the moment is the possibility of returning that to what we've had, in the last, well, at least 50 years or so. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, that is described as a guide board with a cupola. Yeah, it has two roofs on it. I don't know if you remember that. Well, no, it is four-sided. It's just that in this case, we're discussing the difference here between a strictly sloped roof with shingles, nothing else to it, or a roof that has a cupola on it as it has existed since the 70s and maybe before then. And what we're just discussing now is that historically, just to be historically uh, uh, authentic in this case, at least, we should probably go back to the cupola idea. So we're discussing the cost of that and presenting that to the CPC on Thursday. Well, it is a four-sided roof. But the question is, do we want a cupola on it or not? Yeah. Do you remember? Yeah. Well, the thing is that again, you know, there are legal issues regarding the historical nature of this. We can't alter it if to something that, well, at least it's discouraged to alter it in a way that is never it never existed as a simple roof. All we have is the roof is flat or a roof with a cupola on it, which is what we've everybody knows the guide board to be. That's the guide board we've known for decades here. Uh, oh yeah, no. Well, it's a very small roof. It's a little sort of turret that rises from the existing roof. It has a roof on it as well. Yeah, it's a kind of double roof, although as I say, it's a small piece, and the main roof is much bigger. That's what the guide board has looked like for over 50 years now. But so I think in our discussion, at least the other members seem to think that this is probably a safer bet. Uh, just it's a little more expensive, but we want to be as historically accurate as possible. And as I pointed out earlier, people may not like the simple roof. They say, "Where's our guide board?" What it didn't look like this. So I think in a way this is probably our safer bet. And so we're looking at the budget and as far as what we're going to ask the CPC. Yeah, yeah. So, no. Any other discussion then on this? Can we go to a vote on it?
I think so.
Yep. So shall we then vote to amend our proposal to the CPC to reflect the change to the cupola version of the guide board, and the attempt
Option A, I guess, right?
option A. Yes, of course
Yeah.
they probably won't see that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but for us.
and also to send them to present the budget to them at their next meeting.
Okay. Oh, I'll second it.
Okay. All right. So Zervanka. That's a yes. Geddes, I. Pangallo,
Aye.
Stone.
Aye.
It passes. And I think that's all our business for tonight. Thank you all for this urgent meeting.
I'm glad you were able to get a response from Steve to just help guide us too, in
Yeah.
terms of how to handle things.
Yep. No, it's,
I think, Henry, I'm hoping you'll be at town meeting because it'll be helpful to have you explain to folks
yep.
what option we went with. And I
Yep.
mean, we don't have to go into all the details about things that,
Yep.
it's going to be a long meeting as it is, but I think for people to understand what the choice was and why we made this choice will be helpful.
Yes. I'm sure there will be no problem with it since it's what it's looked like forever, or at least in our lifetime.
In our lifetime.
So I'm relieved, and I thank you all for the work you've done on this, especially Matteo, who's
Yes.
taken the lead on this.
Yes, doing all that paperwork.
Yeah. So anything else, Matteo, that we should be alerted to for the meeting, the CPC meeting?
This is the only item that's going to be on the agenda is voting to accept the amended application. So
Okay. All right.
Oh, Henry, I had one other thing, that I was gonna contact you about and then I forgot. But at any rate, I was thinking about, I was in touch with Mateo about what was in the box of stuff that Joan Hanson, dropped off for him in terms of, the Friends of the Historical Commission and thinking of maybe putting up a small table if that's allowed, at town meeting to sell if it's postcards or whatever's still in there to just do a little fundraising and a little at the same time a little I don't know awareness that we're here or something that sort of thing.
Yep.
Anyway, so does that sound okay? I have to find out who to talk to in town hall, but um they used to do it. I remember that they used to have a
Yep.
table a long
Yep.
time ago.
Maybe we can think of other things that we could do at that table.
Yeah, if there's some kind of handout, or we could at least
Yep.
have a picture of the cupola that
Yep.
we're talking about, that model,
Yep.
do
There,
that.
there is going to be a handout from the CPC with
Oh,
all
okay.
the articles, and there is a photograph of the guide board on that.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
But if we wanted to have something that was a little more specific, I mean, wouldn't hurt.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess, what we can find. Do you know if there were a couple of postcards or photographs that were enlarged by, what was his name? Was it Craig? I think that was his name.
Greg, yes. Pippin.
Yeah, Pepin, that's right. And I was wondering, I don't know if that's in the boxes or not, or where
How
else.
big were they?
Um, I don't know, maybe like uh
Because the box that
2 feet, maybe 18 by 24, I think, something like that. There were a couple of them. I think they were on, styrofoam, not styrofoam, some kind of poster board or something.
I mean, I can take a look. I think the box is it's about the size of a banker's box.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So I don't know if it would fit in that, but I can look in it. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to you yet
that's
about
okay. It's fine.
setting up time to take a look through the
We
stuff.
have time. And then Leslie and I are planning to do the memorial service on uh, Sunday, the 25th, in case we're not in touch before then,
That's
at the Quabbin Park Memorial Service.
you got that, Karen?
Right.
25th of May.
Yeah.
Yep.
May. At the Quabbin.
Yep.
Quabbin Park.
Is somebody going to attend it? Because I can't in the
Yeah.
past couple of years again.
Yeah, no, Janice and Leslie are going to be there.
Okay. Well, at least somebody's permanent anyway. I don't know if I'll make it or not. I think I will, but I gotta get.
That would be great. Yeah, if you can get a ride from your son or something, that would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
And when is the town meeting?
May 31st.
May 31st?
Yep.
That's at the school?
At the school. Yep. So I'll be at town meeting for sure.
So does that start at 9? Do you know approximately?
Yeah, it starts at 9.
Okay.
It's a really long warrant. So
Oh, really? I'll have to take a look.
So,
47 articles right now.
47?
oh
Yeah,
my-
they added 2 more today.
Oh my goodness.
so it won't be outside. Like I've seen.
It'll be
Sadly,
dark.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
When is the town meeting?
Saturday, May 31st.
Starts at 9 a.m.
Yep. Okay. Well, and on that note, I think we can move to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All right. Second, I second, or whichever way. Well,
You moved it.
Right.
Teo seconded.
All right, going around. Zavonka.
Are we setting a date for June?
Oh, yeah, we haven't set a date for our next meeting, but at this point, yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll send out I guess, do we have a preference for a date?
Let's see when Bert is coming back. I can't remember exactly when that is. That's mid-month, is somewhere there.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah. Once I find out what his plans, yeah, so we get him on board. I'll send out an open poll. See what.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll call me?
I will.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen, for coming on. We need you for the quorum.
I'll remember.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep you on track, Karen. All right. All right.
All right.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye, Karen.